These 25 Monster Jam moments ought to leave you drenched in aggravating distress for days to come. Number 24. At the 2006 Rapid City Monster Jam event in South Dakota, Dragon Slayer driver Craig Christensen found himself in an unsettling situation. As Christensen rounds up to a corner, this happens.
Look at that. Huge jump by Christensen, flying up on two wheels, then on one wheel, not able to keep it controlled.
Jumping over a pile of cars, Christensen bounced his front tires off of them aggressively, which brought his truck to a dangerous vertical position mid-air. Incredibly, his truck lands on the rear right wheel, balancing perfectly back to the ground, thus avoiding a crash. A clear testament to his expert professional handling of this insanely heavy machine. Number 23. During the 1995 Canfield Monster Jam Qualifiers event in Ohio, expert driver Ken Depp got into an unexpected incident. At the start of the course, Depp floors the throttle, bringing the nose of his truck into the air as he speeds on. But then this happens.
Look at the wheel stand, and he hits that second group of cars. Hang on, he's still on the power. Look at this, and pulls it back out by staying on the power.
His rear wheel came abruptly into contact with the ground, sending the truck flying through the air and into a nosedive, crashing hard into the dirt and losing the rear right wheel. Fortunately, no injuries were present. Deppe handsomely steers the three-wheeled truck into safety, avoiding further devastating effects. Number 22. Following Ken Depp's tragic incident at the Canfield Monster Jam event, driver Brian Welch soon finds himself in a similar situation. After successfully establishing a graceful start, he takes a tumble when his truck clears a series of jumps and lands in a nose-pitch position, transforming into a 9,000-pound ballerina, performing a couple of twirls before landing on its back.
With Brian Welch, and he is all over the shutdown area and finally gets it on over. Incredibly so, he walks.
The roll cage serves its purpose, and Welch walks away unharmed from the incident. Number 21. During the 2013 Edward Jones Dome Monster Jam Qualifiers event at St. Louis, Missouri, an incident occurs where, during his celebratory lap, winner Darren Basil goes down. As he attempts to give a 360 drift a go, this happens.
And Basil takes the victory, and then he celebrates.
Nope, didn't go quite as planned.
The race worked out, but not so much this, Jeff.
He's trying to get out of the stadium.
His left rear tire comes into contact with the wall at the start of his drift, which cancels the turn, taking a celebratory tumble as well. Following the aftermath, Basil doesn't sustain any injuries during this stunt, but perhaps a bruised ego. Number 20. During a freestyle race in Florida, an incident occurs when driver Dennis Anderson, while performing a thrilling freestyle, showcasing his amazing driving skills behind the wheel of his 8,000-pound behemoth truck, goes down crashing as his rear tire comes off the rim mid-turn while on an obstacle climb, sending his truck tumbling down and lands on its side.
Difficulté, il cherche à se remettre en travers, il réussit. Oh là 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 là, oh là là là.
On pourra pas dire qu'il n'a pas de conscience professionnelle.
Non, c'est le chant du cygne là pour Dennis Anderson, il savait très bien que...
Despite these daring stunts, Anderson walks away untouched while the crowd goes wild, chanting his name. Number 19. During a 2014 Monster Jam Qualifiers race at Arlington, Texas, driver Jim Kohler expertly takes on the obstacle course, navigating thunderously as his truck moves over the obstacles with ease. But then, this happened.
À peine. Attention, oui, ce qui s'est passé pour Adventure pendant les qualifications, malheureusement.
Kohler's truck takes on a jump too aggressively, throwing him into the air and landing shortly after. The truck then toppled over as the truck bounces off the ground and tumbles, only to land straight back up. Incredibly, Kohler escapes the chilling moment unharmed and with a great story to tell. Number 18. During the 2009 Monster Jam World Finals at Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas, fans cheer on as Captain's Curse driver Alex Blackwell prepares to race against Max D driver Tom Meents. As the race gets off to a start, this happens. Alex Blackwell crashes undeniably badly when he approaches a turn at high speeds, which raises the truck to the side as it goes crashing into the barrier and onto the safety hold area. With luck on his side, Alex Blackwell walks away from the incident, having been protected by the roll cage, leaving means for the win whilst sustaining no major injuries. Number 17. At a 1993 Monster Jam racing event in Houston, Texas, Dennis Anderson, the gravedigger expert handler, was showcasing his expert abilities in taming his wild machine during the freestyles against the Carolina Crusher. But then, this happened.
Carolina Crusher backs out of it. The digger, whoa! Dennis Anderson almost turns it over, but saves it!
In a fit to prevent an accident, Anderson puts his skills to the test and prevents a quite unsoothing crash. Number 16. At the 1993 Houston Astrodome Monster Jam racing event, Invader driver Ray Pierkowski finds himself taking a tumble seconds after the start of the race when he takes a turn too aggressively, causing the huge machine to topple over to the side and roll over, allowing David Morris to easily take the victory.
Going into the turn, they're neck and neck! And oh, Invader turns it over! Equalizer gets the win! Equalizer wins! Ray Pierkowski turns the Invader over!
Despite the sad loss of victory, Pierkowski manages to walk out of the wreck disappointed but uninjured. Number 15. At a 2014 Monster Jam qualifiers race held in Anaheim, California, driver Brian Deegan, weaving and jumping over obstacles, crashes in a rather risky accident when his truck front flips nose first into the dirt after failing to clear a set of obstacles set in series.
Norm Miller a en effet un sacré défi à relever.
Oh là là! Oh le saut père avant!
On n'est pas encore dans le freestyle.
Le front flip!
Deegan's rear wheel falls short of the second obstacle, slamming into it and performs a complete front flip. But despite the chilling incident, Deegan remained uninjured and continues with the show like nothing happened. Number 14. During a 2014 Anaheim Monster Jam race, gravedigger Carl Van Horn nearly crashes while jumping over a set of obstacles, which sends him soaring through the air and back down, bouncing wildly out of control.
Attention! Oh! Oh!
Il est parti en vrille.
Attention!
Oh, il est parti
Attention
en
le
vrille.
rétablissement magnifique! Oh, c'est fantastique!
Ouais, mais j'espère qu'il n'a pas cassé parce que là il est
Van Horn carefully regains control of the heavy truck's landing and avoids a provoked, unsettling crash. Number 13. During the 1994 Indianapolis Monster Jam Qualifiers Race 1, driver Don Van Loo was in the midst of completing an obstacle course when this happened.
Qualifying.
Well, the Chevy body and the Dodge combination didn't have a thing to do with that
Spin a wheel.
front spindle breaking, yeah.
So that put Don Van Loo on.
The impact causes the truck's front axle to give way, and the front right wheel comes apart, but thankfully, Van Loo walks away, having sustained no injuries from the unfortunate incident. Number 12. At the 1990 Houston Monster Jam Qualifiers race, famous Mad Dogs driver Bob Breen completes the race spectacularly against his opponent, Gary Porter. But mid-race, this happens.
First, but Mad Dog can't get stopped, and he tags one of the grooming tractors. And I think, Paul, here we can see why Mad Dog could not get it stopped.
Breen suddenly loses control of his ginormous machine and rams into one of the crew members' tractors due to a broken front differential after colliding with his opponent's truck. But thankfully, Breen applies the brakes shortly after noticing the loss of control, avoiding a much more worse crash against the tractor. Best of all, no physical injuries reported, however, for that tractor operator, possibly mentally shocked. Number 11. At the 1991 Oklahoma City Monster Jam race finals, Bad Medicine's driver, Don Van Loo, after hitting a couple of obstacles on the course, ended his jump with all four wheels back on the dirt. However, what happened next, no one was expecting.
Unbelievable hit. The Bad Medicine Machine lands and drives full throttle into the retaining wall.
Unexpectedly losing control of his throttle balancing, Van Loo floors the huge machine into the wall at a high speed. For a brief moment, no signs of Van Loo are present. As rescuers rush to the scene, Van Loo eventually walks out through the rear window, slightly dazed but fortunately unharmed. Number 10. During a 1991 Indianapolis Monster Jam qualifying race, driver Nick Rossi successfully completes a small stunt with his monster truck. But as soon as he's on the descent, this happens.
Tumble was a result of this run during the qualifying session. I want you to notice what happens. Watch the left front spindle, digs in, flips, completely demolishes the body.
Upon coming into contact with the ground, Rossi loses control. His front left wheel digs into the dirt, destroying the wheel spindle, a major part in the suspension system, and thus causes the machine to flip over, causing damage to the truck's body. Amazingly, Rossi manages to crawl out of the wreck completely unharmed and eager to get back behind the wheel. But unfortunately, the same can't be said about the truck. Number 9. During a 1990 Charleston Monster Jam qualifying race, Wild Hare's driver, Marvin Smith, puts on a show demonstrating his superb driving skills. While wheeling with his rear tires onto the cars, this happens.
Smith coming at you now, hits the cars, and you can see he kind of wheel stands, everything on the back under control. Veering off to the right side of the course, and bam, into the wall at the end of the Charleston Civic Center.
He suddenly loses control of his truck and crashes into the safety barricade. Luckily, nothing is in the way of this incredible hunk of steel, and the safety barricade suffers the wrath of the impact. Thankfully, Smith walks away with no infliction of injuries, while his new truck feels the impact as well. Number 8. During the 1992 Tampa Monster Jam Qualifiers Race 1, the Invaders truck driver Ray Pierkowski goes head-to-head against fellow driver Rob Fuchs to complete the obstacle course in the shortest time possible. But after Pierkowski's first jump, this happens.
Our final action, they're both taking it easy. The Invader goes, oh, what's happened? Look at this. The Invader flips. Meanwhile, Rob Fuchs went too wide. He has to back up, straighten out.
Pierkowski suffers an oversteer as he navigates the winning turn, causing him to flip and bring the Invader into a barrel roll, leaving Rob Fuchs to take an easy win. Fortunately, Pierkowski manages to crawl out of the truck safely and unharmed, showing just how important the safety features this dangerous sport upholds so highly to the high-spirited monster truck enthusiasts. Number 7. During the 1993 West Lebanon Monster Jam Qualifiers race in Indiana, Gravedigger expert driver Dennis Anderson goes head-to-head against UFO driver Bob Fisher. After making a perfect jump over the obstacles, a few seconds later, this happens.
UFO! Gravedigger, look out! Whoa! Whoa! Dennis turns it over! Dennis turns it over!
The hard landing into the ground causes a loss of control, which then leads to a massive flip and tumble into the ground. The safety crew rushed to the scene and performed safety precautions, preventing further destruction to the fallen truck. In return, Anderson walks away without sustaining any injuries. Number 6. During the 2005 Salem Monster Jam Qualifiers race event in Massachusetts, driver Amber Skywalker gets into a rather unsettling incident where, after navigating through the obstacle course with finesse, this happens.
So now she, instead of being a turn, she's trying to square the turn off. And she's already off the cars at that time.
And that's what happens. It goes right on her head.
See, if you go a little deeper, you can go faster over the cars.
Her rear wheel bounced off of one of the cars in the obstacle course, which led her truck into a lean and progressive tumble into the wall. As the truck flipped on its side, the heavy weight of the tires was projected onto the roll cage. But luckily, safety crew members rush to her aid and she walks away completely unharmed, proving just how efficient the roll cage really is. Number 5. At the 2014 St. Louis Monster Jam Freestyle, zombie truck driver Sean Duhan showcased his remarkable driving skills and attempted various incredible stunts. As Duhan proceeded to perform a fast-paced 360 drift, this happened.
Ça nous laisse le champ à de bonnes blagues. Mais je trouve que ça manque de rythme et de hauteur, surtout au niveau des sauts.
C'est vrai, surtout dans la fin du run où le début était bien, mais les fans sont heureux quand même. Regardez, ça finit par des donuts, et peut-être à l'envers. Voilà qui est fait. Ah, la cerise sur...
The move caused his truck to flip out and crash uncontrollably on the spot, his feat of excellent sportsmanship remaining short-lived. Luckily, Duhan escaped the ordeal untouched. Number 4. During the 2014 Angel Stadium Monster Jam Qualifiers race driver, Anaheim, Deborah Ann Miceli, also known as Medusa, performed a spectacular show displaying her incredible skills on the obstacle course while racing against pro stunt driver Travis Groth. Nearing the finish line, things took a turn for the worst when this happened.
Particulier, très sympa d'Anaheim, et ce run est très serré. Attention, oulala! Oh, Medusa qui se retrouve à l'envers! En caméra embarquée, on l'a bien vécu, on a vu qu'elle...
Miceli's rear wheels collided into an obstacle, causing the truck to shift in position and flip over. Despite the hectic incident, Medusa escaped the tumble with no injuries. Number 3. At the Batman Monster Jam Freestyle World Finals, driver Carl Van Horn showcased his impressive skills behind the wheel as he navigated through the course with excellence, maneuvering effortlessly over obstacles. But after hitting a jump, his monster truck pitched up, and this happened.
Judges on the scores for Team Hot Wheels, but nonetheless, Scott Bueto's in third right now. Very impressive. Now, earlier, Batman had to have a driver switch, and it's going to be a short-lived run for Carl Van Horn.
As Van Horn's jumping momentum declines, his truck's left tires hook onto the dirt ramp, inevitably sending him tumbling into the dirt and onto his side. Fortunately, Carl escaped the experience uninjured, but the same couldn't be said for his truck, which sustained significant damage. Number 2. At the 2014 St. Louis Monster Jam Freestyle race, Hot Wheels stunt driver Scott Buetow goes down after showcasing his freestyling abilities behind the wheel of his 10,000-pound truck of yellow and red, when suddenly...
avait effectué un backflip en tout début de run.
Ouais.
Un backflip complètement fou.
Oh.
Et ben on n'aura pas de backflip avec Hot Wheels parce que là on a eu une prise de risque un petit peu trop forte.
He goes airborne momentarily after hitting a jump landing slightly tilted to the left, which in turn bounces the truck off balance and rolls to the other direction. Fortunately, Buetow is seen walking out of the aftermath, unharmed but slightly dazed. Number 1. During a 1990 Roanoke Monster Jam speed race in Roanoke, Virginia, stunt driver Steve Wilkett engages in a race against fellow driver Ken Depp in a wild run over an assortment of vehicles on the obstacle course when suddenly this happens.
Steve Wilkie, a wild run. And there it is. Wilkie flips. USA won on a qualifying shot.
Steve Wilkes' truck bounces twice on the rear wheels, tipping the truck to the front, which then causes the truck to perform a flip and land on its roof. Despite the truck not having a sound anti-roll cage bar, Steve Wilkes walks away, having sustained no injuries after the grueling incident. The best outcome that could have played out in these circumstances. If you thought these 25 monster truck moments were quite scary, then these NASCAR moments will certainly leave you in shock for minutes on end.